Welcome to Drysen Learns Things. Today I'm talking to Josh MacPhee. Hello.
How are you, Drysen?
I'm good. It's an early morning for you.
Yes, it is. I am in Australia, where it's like 3:30 p.m. for you. I'm a day ahead, so it's 6:30 in the morning. The sun is just coming up. That's what you can see behind me. There are lights, but it's just that nice sunlight coming in behind.
Well, what I'm excited by is because you're living in the future, I know the sun will rise tomorrow.
Well, we know it's
So,
coming.
hey, you are a content creator. You're working on a project for the Flowstate Experience. Talk to me a little bit about A, what you do, and B, what that is.
So predominantly what I do is, I used to be kind of like a videographer, but these days it's kind of just like content creation in general for a business. So my sort of process is looking at their market, their business, and their customer base, and kind of, if I can understand that, the more I can sort of make informed judgments about the content that I create for them. So I'm pretty strategic with that.
Yeah.
So I got caught up in the Flowstate as their editor, and then sort of went a bit above and beyond in that. So now I'm doing a little bit more than that. But the idea of the Flowstate Experience in this particular project is it's an online platform for wellness. So, for instance, if you're doing yoga, breath work, want to get engaged in conversations with people or ideas, the intent behind it is to create a community of like-minded individuals. The founders used to do a music wellness retreat, and they found that worked really well, where they did like yoga, yet again breath work. They had community leaders come in and talk about things, and it developed a real sense of community. So now they're trying to put that in the online medium, and I am there to help them create content for it and get people to come in and talk. You know, online communities these days, it's the rage.
Which is the point of all the marketing stuff that we do. So, specifically, with what you're doing here, what is one like a thing specifically you're really proud of that you're putting forth for the Flowstate Experience?
Well, so for instance, image generation, like with AI these days, that's something you couldn't do last year. Like there was a limited access to it. So this year it's sort of a new space. So the way I've been kind of utilizing it is, say if someone says something or you've got a talking head, blah, 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 but you need to make something visually exciting and also be able to show and not just tell. So being able to train a chatbot and then get it to understand the style and the brand guidelines and then kind of create an image based on that, that's been a really cool process. And being able to kind of create a sense of style or what's the word, sort of uniformness, which is extremely hard with AI image generation, but getting there. But that's been one thing. It's just like, it's been able to craft pictures and things that look creative as well, that explains the concept. So that's been cool.
That's one thing I've played with a lot lately, is just trying to figure out, okay, if I've got an AI and I want it to generate something, but how do you get to live in that same realm of like, okay, these 10 things actually look like they could live together as opposed to just random, things. How have you overcome that? Talk to me a little bit about it.
It's training the bot. So, for instance, if you've got ChatGPT, you can train bots in it. So, because it's all, you can upload documents and you can give framework to it. I found it wasn't so good if you just put images in there, but once you can kind of figure out the prompts it's using, you can start to create guidelines for it. I know the other program is Runway. You can train it on some images, and then it'll just start generating images based on that one image. But that's been a little bit of a learning process for me. But it's getting the words and the prompts right. Once you kind of can figure out those prompts, then you can start like putting it into it. You can get ChatGPT sometimes if you upload an image to give you some outputs for it. And then if you can grab those prompts of what it's using to ask the image generation and ChatGPT, you can start to kind of piece together prompts that are going to give you in the realm of. It still takes a little bit, but I'm getting there. But that's been something like, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like I'm starting to create things that look fairly similar. So that's been a kind of a bit of a learning process for me. And that's something never had access to before as an editor. Usually you're just like, oh, I've got to explain this graphic, or with a graphic, or I've got to explain this concept. How do I do that? So it's just a moment this year. I can do this now?
Right? I think one thing that I find very interesting is, and especially like last year, I think a lot of people were in the mentality of, oh, AI is going to come out, it's going to be the new shiny tool, and it's going to replace everyone. We don't have to do any of the hard work anymore. We'll push a keyframe, and it's going to be, or push a button, it's going to be done. And I think what everyone's starting to realize is this is just another tool. Like, you know, if you are an editor, you work in Premiere. If you are an illustrator, you're working in Adobe Illustrator. And it's not just push a button and get the exact thing that you were thinking of. It still takes time, knowledge, thought, intention, reiteration. Agree?
Yeah.
Disagree?
Yeah. You've got to provide the context. So I find when I set up a framework, say if I wanted to create a script for a short video, if I set up the framework correctly of how I kind of go about making a video, then it understands the framework I use. It's not going to give me the greatest ideas, but it can give me feedback. So for instance, if you train a chatbot on like the brand guidelines of like a specific company, it's just like, okay, when I come to it with asking about the content, it can be like, oh, your brand guidelines, this might be a sort of better avenue to kind of go down, or you could suggest this, and you go, oh, okay, cool. You still have to work with it, and you still have to give it context. When it draws from too much information, it gets really vanilla, broad kind of strokes. But once you kind of go, okay, once you can tell it the specific situation that you're really wanting to dive into, and you can communicate that, that's when it kind of starts to get you stuff that you're like, oh, that actually works really well. And it gives you feedback.
Absolutely. Cool. I use it for my ChatGPT just to kind of get my brain thoughts organized so I can actually like make a better script for so a big part of Drysen Learns Things is just saying, like, we did the thing, we learned the thing, but did the thing actually work? And I know the Flowstate Experience hasn't launched yet, so this is kind of getting a little preemptive. But overall, how do you think what you did is going to help impact what they're doing?
Well, we've gone in there with the right information, so we can at this stage kind of make guesstimates. They know their customers pretty well, so because they've had a lot of that feedback from the festival that they did, they've got a pretty good idea of what their customers are into. I just kind of will have to sometimes pick their brain and kind of figure it out. They're still providing all the information, and they're all great on camera, so that's super helpful. It's just kind of taking what they've done and being like, okay, how can I add my touch, or how can I create a pathway? Because when you've got any bit of content, it's like there's a point A, then there's a point B. So it's like, what's that expectation at the start, and how do we meet that expectation at the end? So the next thing as we launch is just then to get the analytics, and that's another thing, just get all the information on what worked and what didn't.
And then reiterate and try again and keep moving forward.
It's always this, that's it. Like, you know, like we know it. Like, that's just go, okay, what worked, what didn't, and you like be like, oh, I thought that would work, but no one likes it.
The worst.
And then this thing you're just like, oh, whatever.
Now, why don't you?
I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I'll do something different then. It's just amazing to be in a time when you can get that straight feedback too. By the way, that's super helpful.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, this has been an awesome little chat here. Again, thank you for getting up extra early today just to talk to me on Drysen Learns Things. I appreciate it.
You're a wonderful personality to wake up to, Drysen.
I will try to be the sunshine in your cup of coffee this morning. Today's workshop, or today's podcast, I should say, is brought to you by the Discovery Workshop from Made by Things. If you're looking for a content partner to help identify those marketing gaps in your marketing plan, that's what the Discovery Workshop is. Again, Josh, thanks so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. And everyone else, I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for having me.
Drysen Learns Things is brought to you by the Discovery Workshop from Made by Things. If you are looking for a content partner to help you brainstorm, set goals, and create content that truly resonates with your audience, check us out at madebythings.com/discovery.